Hello everyone, I am Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English. In our today's video, we are going to understand first of all what is Gorkhaland and why are people coming from northern part of West Bengal are demanding for a separate state. Now the notes that I will be using in this particular session, you can download them on a particular Telegram channel called as ETS Live. So just open your Telegram app. On the top right hand corner there's a search bar, right? Click on it and enter the words ETS Live. You'll find the channel and you can download the notes from there. And while you're at it, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel also. Okay, so let us start by understanding first of all why have we taken up the issue of Gorkhaland recently. Now, as recent as this month, in the October 2025, the Ministry of Home Affairs of the Union Government called three parties to hold a discussion on what was called as issue relating to Gorkhaland. And these three parties included West Bengal government, the Gorkha Territorial Administration, as well as Gorkha Janmukti Morcha. Now, this meeting, although was held for the issue relating to Gorkhaland, but after the objections raised by West Bengal government, the subject of this meeting changed to issues relating to the Gorkha Territorial Administration. Now, the issue of Gorkhaland has been in particular or in popular lexicon for a long period of time. But this issue has a habit of getting or coming into popularity every time the election is around the corner, and especially the election to the Lok Sabha, where most of the parties highlight that yes, we understand the plight of Gorkha people and we want them to have a separate homeland, that is a separate state. But when it comes to local assembly elections, most of the main parties who have stakes in the West Bengal, they are reluctant to highlight this demand in particular. So we are not going to discuss what are the political angles to the demand, but we are going to understand what is the subjective, structural as well as polity related issues, right? So that is what we are going to discuss. Let us understand the background of this demand. Now, as I told you, the demand for Gorkhaland has been in popular lexicon for a long period of time. And this is where people hailing from the northern part of Bengal, they are demanding a separate state, especially for people hailing from Nepali origin, that is the Gorkha population. And these are the people living in Darjeeling Hills, Kalimpong, Terai, as well as Duar regions of the West Bengal, particularly the northern part of West Bengal. So with the help of this map, you will be able to picturize where is the proposed area for Gorkhaland is going to be. It stretches from the Darjeeling region in the western part of the northern Bengal and it stretches to Kalimpong, Banarhat, Jaregaon as well as Kumargram in the Cooch Behar region in the West Bengal. All of them is relocated presently in the northern part of West Bengal. So this is where the proposed Gorkhaland is going to be. Now, this Gorkhaland movement reflects tensions. The tensions that has emerged due to regional identity of the Gorkha people, which is distinct from the majority Bengali-speaking population of West Bengal. It also highlights the linguistic diversity and somewhat on the part of West Bengal, a kind of administrative neglect that has been shown to this particular northern region of West Bengal. Now, is this demand for a separate state illegal or unconstitutional? The answer is no. Why is it not illegal, not unconstitutional? I will tell you in the scope of our today's discussion. Okay. So having understood this background, is this the first time the demand for a separate state for Gorkha speaking people has emerged? The answer is no. This issue is very old. This originated in 1907 and the first time a demand for separate administrative setup was demanded at the time Britishers were in power, just before the Minto-Morley reforms was going to be forwarded by the Britishers. Similarly, this issue persisted even after India got independent, and there has been instances, particularly in the 1980s, where this demand took a violent turn, which led to death of thousands of people. Similarly, as recently as last 2 decades, we have seen renewed agitation by parties like the Bimal Gurung's led Gorkha Janmukti Morcha. Now, one of the key or two important events that we have to highlight in our today's discussion is the event in 2011, which led to formation of Gorkhaland Territorial Administration, one of the parties that was called for discussion, and another one is in 2017, which led to a 104 days shutdown in Darjeeling Hills in demand for full statehood. Now, this agitation actually stretched along, but after the government did a crackdown by imposing UAPA on the Bimal Gurung, it led to, or this movement somewhat fizzled out. So I told you the two most important events that we are going to discuss is the formation of Gorkhaland Territorial Administration and what was the reason which led to a 104-day shutdown in the Darjeeling Hills in 2017. But before understanding these two situations, it is very important for us to understand why this demand is critical, not just for the interest of people of North Bengal, but also for the larger interest of India's national security imperatives. That is crucial. So let us first understand why or what is the strategic importance of this particular North Bengal region. Now, I told you there is a national security angle, and there is a very good reason for it. Just look at the map of India's northeast and how it is connected to the rest of the country. As many of you can recall, India's northeast is connected to the rest of the country through a narrow passageway called as Siliguri corridor, which is just few kilometers wide. That is why if any disturbance happens in this region, which also constitutes the region of Gorkhaland, this would create implications for India's national security, right? So first of all, the location of this Siliguri corridor is very essential. It is a 22-kilometer wide strip which connects India's northeastern region to the rest of the country. And that is why ensuring safety, ensuring peace and tranquility in the region is essential for India's territorial integrity. Similarly, let us come back to this map again. This Siliguri corridor shares its borders with three countries, with Nepal, with Bhutan and with Bangladesh. Similarly, it is very near to the India's border with China, right? That is in the Jeleple Pass. So that is why, not just because it is a narrow piece of land, but it is also a land which shares India's international boundaries with three countries, and it is very close to India's border with China. So that is why it is important. Also, this region has witnessed demographic pressures after the liberation of Bangladesh in 1971. Now, before and after the liberation of Bangladesh, we have seen that this area witnessed a huge influx of migrants, illegal migrants mostly, who have emerged from Bangladesh. And this instance has altered region's population dynamics. It has created demographic pressures in the region which is somewhat less developed. This region also has scarcity of resources. So when this region, already scarce of resources, is hosting a larger section of population, most of them are illegal population, so that has created demographic pressures in the region. So this is why peace and tranquility in this particular region is essential, not just for the interest of people belonging to this particular region, but also for the greater good being India's national security, right? Now I told you, let us come back to our present discussion, that is on the issue of Gorkhaland. Now I told you the present administrative setup which enables people of this region to govern this region differently is through establishment of Gorkhaland Territorial Administration, which was set up back in 2011. Now this Gorkhaland Territorial Administration is very different from the other areas in the northeast, particularly Schedule 6 areas. Now Schedule 6 or areas under Schedule 6, that is autonomous district councils, particularly are applicable in 4 different states in India, that is Assam, Tripura, Meghalaya as well as Manipur, right? So these are the 4 states where the 6 schedule areas are in application. On the other hand, the Gorkha Territorial Administration is somewhat similar but also very different from the 6 schedule areas and its autonomous district councils. First of all, the Gorkha Territorial Administration has administrative power, has executive power and has financial powers for local governance. But what is different between GTA and 6 schedule areas is that GTA does not have a legislative autonomy. Similarly, 6 schedule areas get their power directly from Constitution of India. On the other hand, GTA is a statutory body, right? It has been set up by Gorkhaland Territorial Administration Act, which has been passed under state list by the State Legislative Assembly of West Bengal. So there are 2 wide differences between Gorkhaland Territorial Administration or GTA areas and the areas under 6th schedule. First is that the areas under 6th schedule have legislative autonomy, GTA doesn't. Areas under 6th schedule has constitutional origin, they've derived their powers directly from the constitutional. GTA has statutory origin, it derives its power from a law passed by state legislature, not by the constitution itself, right? So this is what, there is a lacuna in the present administrative structure of GTA. Another part that I told you, why this region witnesses frequent tensions, I'll tell you why. First of all, let us understand what are the factors that triggers frequent ethno-linguistic tensions in the region of North Bengal, that is the region which is supposed to be Gorkhaland. First is the colonial legacy. Now I told you this demand for a separate state is as old as a colonial rule, right? Now the Britishers traditionally have treated Darjeeling and the Duar region as a frontier buffer zone, and they ignored the developmental and administrative prerogative of the region, right? So rather than treating them as an integral part of the state of Bengal, this region was isolated administratively even by the Britishers. Now you'd expect after independence things would have changed. The answer is no. The merger that was done in the Gorkhaland region with the West Bengal region, it was done ignoring the principles that was set up by the State Reorganization Commission. Now, if you can recall your polity lectures, you'd remember that State Reorganization Commission highlighted that linguistic and cultural prerogatives were the reason where you can give a particular area and make it a separate state. But this principle, although applicable on the Gorkhaland territorial administrative area, but not it was not made a separate state, right? So the colonial legacy, which was the lack of administration done by Britishers, it continued even after India got independent because of the lack of administrative apathy. Similarly, as I told you, GTA although has statutory recognition, but it lacks constitutional recognition, which leads to weak governance. I told you the two lacunas that are faced by GTA is lack of constitutional recognition and absence of legislative powers, right? So that is the core area why people are still not satisfied even though they have provided a different administrative setup. Also, the key region or the key reason why people of North Bengal, particularly Gorkha speaking people, are demanding for a separate state is because of the identity assertion. Now you have to understand the people who live in this area predominantly belong to Nepali speaking population who are Indian Gorkhas, and they hail from communities like Gurung, Rai, Limbu, Tamang, etc. Right? Now culturally, these people are very different from the majority Bengali speaking population of the West Bengal. And that is why these people have different language, different culture, different identity, and they also live basing on a hill-based economy of this region. Now, although government cognitive of this particular difference that these people have provided a recognition to Nepali language, as Nepali language was included as one of the official languages in India's 8th schedule. But still, despite this landmark decision, the identity assertion or ethnicity was not satisfied of these people, right? Another reason why or what led to this massive agitation in the year 2017 was language imposition, which was done by State Bengal or the West Bengal state government, right? Now, Mamata Banerjee government, although it was receptive of the demands of full statehood, but after coming into power, especially in 2017, they made Bengali compulsory in all schools in Bengal. Now, this sparked a violent protest across the regions of Dwars as well as Darjeeling. And this was seen, people particularly by the Nepali speaking population, as an attempt to erase their Nepali linguistic identity. So this was the key factor or the trigger that led to massive agitation in the year 2017. Understood? So this is what has led to ethnic linguistic tensions in the region. Now, what are the legal and constitutional aspects of this demand? As I told you, is this demand illegal? Is this demand non-constitutional? The answer is no. Because Indian Constitution under Article 3 gives the power to Parliament of India to create a separate state from the existing state, right? But this requires parliamentary approval. Now, first of all, there are few caveats that we have to understand. First caveat is that this issue is very politically sensitive. Now, yes, the power is with the Parliament to create a separate state. But if Parliament creates a separate Gorkhaland state from the regions in North Bengal, it will create further demands in the region and also in the rest part of this country. And this effect is called as domino effect, right? Now, is this the only particular regional demand in North Bengal for a separate state? The answer is no. There are other demands as well. For example, there is a Kamtapur movement which demands a separate state for Koch Raghuvanshi people who inhabit the Kuch Bihar region. Similarly, there is also a very similar greater Kuch Bihar movement. Also, there is a movement in the western part of West Bengal called as Jungle Mahal statehood demand. So there are other statehood demands in the same area where Gorkhaland has been demanded, right? So this would create a domino effect. If Government of India or if Parliament of India decides to provide a separate statehood to Gorkhaland, it would raise similar demands in the other regions of the country as well as other regions of the state. Also, government can also decide to give this region a union territory status, right? There are separate or there are certain advantages of it. First, this would bring this area under the direct control of union government, therefore ensure national security prerogatives is taken care of. But this also creates certain kind of problems. First, problem is that it will bring limited local representation, and this has been also the issue which is faced by the another union territory in India, which is also strategically very important, that is the Ladakh Union Territory. If you can remember, post revocation of Article 370, the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir was bifurcated into two separate states: Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir with a legislature and Union Territory of Ladakh without a legislature. So in absence of popularly elected legislature in the Union Territory of Ladakh, this has raised certain demands by the people of Ladakh. And if we take certain similar measures in the Gorkhaland region also, making it a union territory, this would also create problems for the government. Another way out for the government of India is that it can give this area the recognition under 6th schedule, right? But this would not address the broader Gorkha identity. Why? Even though they are provided a constitutional recognition under the 6th schedule, but this region would be under the overall ambit of the West Bengal government. So this would not remove this particular grievance altogether. So the best way for the union government is to create a separate state within a state, which is provided under Article 244 subsection A. Now this is applicable in the Assam, and it can be also made applicable for the areas of northern Bengal, and this would offer this area much needed internal legislative autonomy, right? So these are the caveats that we have understood. Is this demand illegal or is this demand non-constitutional? We have understood no, because Article 3 gives Parliament the power to create a separate state from the existing state in India. But although it is legally and constitutionally possible, but it is politically difficult because of the chances of domino effect happening. Okay. Now, what are the issues and challenges that the government might face in case they want to create a separate state, or if they want to create a separate territorial or administrative equations in the regions of Gorkhaland? First is the ethnic assertion, at the same time taking care of ethnic assertion while ensuring territorial integrity of India. Now, one of the key demands raised with the State Reorganization Commission was how to ensure both territorial integrity of India at the same time addressing the ethnic assertion issues of broader section of population. Now, if you can remember the recommendations given by the SRC, they highlighted that yes, on the basis of linguistic diversity, on the basis of ethnicity, you can create a separate state, but that does not mean you create a separate state or you make small different amount of states, because it would do away with India's territorial integrity. Similar demands have also emerged in other parts of the country. In Northeast, similar demands have emerged from Bodo community. It has emerged in Telangana. It has emerged in Vidarbha in the state of Maharashtra, right? Another example is the difference of opinion between central and state government. Now, I told you Article 3 of the Indian Constitution gives the power to Parliament of India to create a separate state, but there are two caveats in this particular power. First of all is that the bill for creation of a new state can only be introduced in the Parliament after the recommendation of President of India, and President of India can give this recommendation only after it sends this proposal to the State Legislative Assembly, and only after asking the opinion of State Legislative Assembly, only then can President can recommend this bill to be made or to be passed in the Union Parliament. So here the West Bengal government has officially shown its opposition to demand for a separate state. That is why, although it is not legally mandatory on the President of India to adhere to the recommendations given by state government, but still, if state and union government are in agreement with this issue, then it would be quite easier for the union government to bring. Similarly, the core issue why people of North Bengal are demanding a separate state is not a political issue, it is rather an economic issue. Why? Because the region of North Bengal remains quite less developed when it comes to development of infrastructure, education and employment facilities. So this is the core issue. And even if you address this issue politically, the core economic issue would remain unaddressed, and therefore it may persist in the future also. Similarly, I told you this demand for a separate state is always raised whenever elections is around the corner. Now this subsides after the elections are over, so this issue remains prone to politicization, right? So these are the challenges that the government might face in case if they want to adhere to the demands of Gorkhaland. Now, what is the way out of this problem? Let us understand that also. First way out of this problem is that you need to create a dialogue mechanism. You need to first of all institutionalize the mechanism where you hold discussions with the different stakeholders in this particular problem. First is West Bengal government, second is GTA itself, third is the major political parties which are stakeholders in this particular matter. And you need to find a permanent political solution, not just for the interest of people from North Bengal, but also for the interest of broader security applications for India, right? So constitutionally backed solution is important. Either you provide them recognition under 6th schedule or a special administrative setup under the Article 244A of the Constitution. Also, you have to take care of federal sensitivity. Yes, it is necessary for India's federalism to respect the linguistic and cultural diversity, but at the same time, what is the greater good for the country? We have to maintain our territorial integrity. So these two different aspects needs to be balanced before the solution can be brought out. And also we have to take a developmental centric approach. I told you the core issue why this problem has been raised multiple times is because of development deficit in the region of North Bengal. Therefore, you have to focus on hill economy, you have to focus on ecotourism, horticulture as well as education, because not just this region is tourism friendly, it is also a region which grows one of the most important commodity India is known for, that is the Darjeeling tea, right? So that is what the government needs to do in order to address this demand at its root, right? Now, before moving to the practice questions, which are PYQs from in the UPSC exam, we have something that we needed to tell you. Now, right now, we have started admissions for 2027 and 28 batches, and these batches are going to start from 27th of October, yes, few days from now. Now, you can take admissions to one of our batches, but before taking admission, please ensure one thing, that you have to use the code ATS Live. Why am I telling you to use this code? Because this code helps you get maximum discounts, not just on 2027 courses, also on 2028 courses, and also if you want to take optional subjects, this code is also going to get you maximum discount, okay? Now let us try to take the question. Consider the following statements regarding the formation of new states and alterations of area under Article 3 of the Constitution. Parliament can form a new state by uniting parts of state, correct? Parliament can increase or decrease the area of a state, correct? Parliament can alter the boundaries of a state, correct? And we have to identify which of the statements are correct. All these three statements are correct, so option D is your right answer. So this was Article 3. Now there is one more question, but this question I want you guys to solve it. Which of the following movements is associated with Koch Rajbanshi community? Out of these four options, which is the right option? Please do let me know in the comment section. The answer of this question itself is in the slides, so you can refer to the slides also if you want it. Please do let me know the answer in the comment section, and the ones who answer it correctly will get a thumbs up from my side. And once again, if you want to download the notes, they will be made available here. In case if you have problems in locating the channel, you can scan the QR code here, okay? So I'll take your permission. Please have a very good day.